is an incredibly popular spirit in Australia, but the main ingredient, juniper berries, is mostly imported. Farmer Lucy Vincent is on a mission to change that.
Most Australian artisan gins that are made, which are awesome, but most of them are made with juniper that comes from overseas, so Italy, Bulgaria, Greece, Macedonia, those places. There are 3 gins in Australia that are made with Australian juniper only, and so I want to change that.
Lucy took over the family farm near Bibbinlook in the New South Wales Snowy Mountains a few years ago, but knew she wanted to try something different. So, alongside the cattle, she and her partner Bruce decided to grow juniper berries.
And we chose something in juniper that is, at the moment, it's very much a developing industry, an emerging industry. And we're at the cutting edge of that.
Juniper berries are actually the female seed cones of a type of conifer. They are the essential ingredient of gin and give the spirit its distinctive flavour.
Oh, that tastes like gin.
Lucy and Bruce planted their first 300 trees across their 151-hectare property in 2018. Now they have close to 600 trees, and what they think is one of the largest establishing juniper orchards in Australia. In their 3rd year of harvesting, Lucy admits they're still finding their feet.
First year was kind of funny. We got 2.2 kilos, which, you know, was like having another child. Really exciting, but commercially useless. Second year, massive increase. We got just over 60 kilos.
This year, the harvest was less than ideal. With high rainfall and severe flooding in 2022 affecting pollination, they only managed about 30 kilograms. But the harvest for 2025 is looking very promising.
So when you look at a female juniper, you'll see they've got 2 different coloured berries on them. They've got the green berries, which are unripe, and then they'll have the blue-black berries, which is what you're harvesting. That's the ripe juniper.
Lucy has gone to great lengths to gauge just how good her juniper berries actually are. She had them scientifically tested and compared to imported produce. The University of Tasmania compared the yields of 4 Australian juniper berries to those from overseas as part of a research thesis in 2023.
So we had 3 different sites or locations of juniper berries from New South Wales. We had one from Victoria, and we compared them to a range of imported berries, but notably from Macedonia, where traditionally the best quality berries come from that are used in gin. Good morning, Alicia and Caroline.
The juniper berries underwent a distilling process and the essential oils were analysed. The results were encouraging.
The Australian samples, one sample was essentially, in terms of yield, exactly the same essential oil yield, but the other 4 samples were significantly higher. So in terms of essential oil yield, we're seeing really positive yields coming out either at the benchmark or above the benchmark of the international product.
For Lucy, who was already collaborating with a local distiller, it was confirmation the quality of her berries is top-notch. Master distiller Gavin Hughes runs the award-winning North of Eden gin based in nearby Bega. He decided to join forces with Lucy after she paid a visit to his distillery.
Lucy just came out to the cellar door one day and introduced herself and said, "Hey, I'm growing juniper bushes." So it was really a chance meeting. And then she said, "Well, you know, if we ever grow any fruit, would you be interested in purchasing it from us?" And I said, "Sure."
Gavin has been using imported juniper berries for his gin since 2019. They cost around $40 a kilogram. Most of the other botanicals used in the gins here are grown on his farm or sourced locally. Making the switch to locally grown juniper, although more costly at $50 per kilo, was an opportunity too good to pass up.
So to be able to take Australian grown juniper, grown within 100 kilometres from here, near Bombala, is just a fantastic thing. It lowers our carbon footprint, but makes it a truly Australian gin.
Controlling insects and finessing the drying and aging process of the berries involved much trial and error. But after extensive experimenting, last year Gavin launched his first gin using Lucy's berries and has just released the second. He believes there's a huge difference in taste.
We were delighted because the piney fresh note is just so clean and bright, so much brighter than what was before. Even though it was a great gin before and had medalled at the largest competitions in the world, we actually think this has taken it to the next level.
I thought the original version, which had Macedonian berries, I said it was like pastels, the pastel kind of colour. And then the same style of gin made from our juniper was like fluoros.
Juniper berries grow really well in certain conditions, but you need 3 things. 1, a hot summer. 2, a cold winter, even with a bit of snow if you can. And 3, high altitude. Here in the New South Wales snowy mountains, you've got those 3 things. And that's why there's potential for farmers in the region to diversify and enter the market.
Even researchers can see the potential.
I think distillers can express in their gin the local influence of our terroir, so that's the climate and soil effects on locally grown juniper trees. So this is something that's quite unique and could well be a selling point.
Lucy and Gavin admit it could be at least a decade before growing juniper berries takes off in Australia. Lucy says the farm will need to invest in mechanical harvesting rather than picking the prickly juniper by hand to make the business commercially viable.
So if you're in it for the money, this ain't the crop for you. But if you've got patience and a bit of curiosity, then yes, give yourself 5 to 10 years and you could be onto a good thing then.
That's what being in small business is about. That's what being in business is about. And if you're not prepared to take risks and if you're not prepared to actually try new things, then you can never really create something which is great.
In the meantime, Lucy is dedicated to helping support the country's emerging juniper berry industry. She's even set up the Aussie Juniper Growers Group. But her farm is a passion project where the rewards outweigh any risks.
For me, obviously I want a farm that's commercially viable for my family, but really I want to have a really well-established juniper industry in Australia. So in 20 years' time, I'll be a happy person if there's a thriving juniper industry in Australia. Irrespective of whether my kids want to take over the farm or not, I guess for me that's my legacy of leaving a better farm, but also a commercially viable industry.